The cold white walls of the hospital echoed with silence when Adrian King, the ruthless Millionaire CEO, uttered the words that shattered everything. "It's over." His voice was steady, but her tears fell endlessly. She begged him to stay, begged him to believe in the life growing inside her, but he turned his back and walked away. That night, under the glow of sterile hospital lights, she lost not just the man she loved, but her last hope for a family. 2 years passed in quiet struggle. She learned to survive without him, raising her child alone, never once reaching out. But fate doesn't let go so easily. On a rainy afternoon, Adrian's path collided with hers again. She wasn't the same broken woman he had left in that hospital. She stood tall, stronger than ever, holding a little girl with his eyes. The sterile scent of antiseptic clung to the hospital room, mingling with the low hum of machines that kept a fragile rhythm of life. The fluorescent lights overhead buzzed faintly, casting a pale glow over Elena's face as she lay on the bed, her hand trembling against the thin sheets. Her eyes, swollen from hours of tears, clung desperately to the tall figure standing at the foot of her bed. Adrian King, the man she had once believed was her forever. The man who had promised her the world. The man she was now begging not to abandon her in the most vulnerable moment of her life. "Adrian." Her voice cracked, a plea breaking through the rawness of her throat. "Please, I need you. Our baby needs you. Don't do this to us." For a fleeting moment, his dark eyes wavered. There was a storm hidden there, but it never broke free. Instead, his expression hardened like granite, and his voice came out cold, merciless. "Elena," he said, his tone distant, like he was already gone. "You don't understand." This he gestured to her, to the swelling curve of her belly, to the fragile hope she carried within her, was never part of the plan. "You tricked me into this. You think I'll throw away everything I've built, my empire, my future, just to play house. I won't." Her heart lurched violently at his words. The man she loved, the man she had trusted with her life, was looking at her as though she were nothing more than a mistake. "Tricked you," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Adrian, I never tricked you. This is your child. Our child. You promised me forever. You told me love was enough, that together we could face anything. Was that all a lie?" He looked away, his jaw tightening, his hands clenched at his sides. "I meant it then, but now, I see things differently. Love doesn't build empires, Elena. Power does. And weakness destroys them. And a family," his lips curled in disdain, "is the greatest weakness of all." Her tears came harder, hot trails slipping down her pale cheeks. She struggled to sit up, clutching at his arm as though holding him physically could stop him from slipping away. "Don't do this," she begged, her voice rising in desperation. "Don't walk away. You'll regret this, Adrian. One day, when our baby smiles, when she reaches out for you, when you hear her laugh, you'll realize what you threw away. You'll realize money can't buy what you're losing right now." For the briefest of moments, something flickered in his eyes, guilt, pain, maybe even fear, but just as quickly, it was gone. He pulled his arm free from her grasp, his movements sharp, almost violent in their finality. "I've made my decision," he said flatly, turning toward the door. "It's over." The words hit her harder than any blade ever could. Her chest ached, her breath came in shallow gasps, but still she cried out after him. "Adrian, please, don't leave me like this." But he didn't stop. He didn't even turn back. The sound of his footsteps echoed down the sterile hallway, fading until all that was left was silence. The door clicked shut behind him, and with it, every dream Elena had built collapsed. She sank back into the pillows, her body trembling with sobs that refused to stop. Her hands curled instinctively over her stomach, over the tiny life growing inside her. She pressed her lips to her belly, whispering through her tears, "I'll protect you. I'll love you enough for both of us, even if your father never does." Her words trembled into the night, fragile but fierce. It was a promise, a vow born not from hope, but from heartbreak. Outside, the rain began to fall against the hospital windows, each drop tapping like the ticking of a clock, counting down the years until Adrian King would discover what he had truly lost. That night became a wound Elena carried in silence, a night where love ended with 3 words that cut deeper than a knife: "It's over." And yet, fate was not finished. 2 years had passed since that night, the night Adrian King walked away without looking back. Time had been cruel and kind in equal measure. Cruel, because Elena had carried the weight of heartbreak through every sleepless night. Every tear-soaked pillow, every whisper of why that never got answered. Kind, because despite it all, she had been given a reason to keep breathing her daughter. Little Sophia, her light, her miracle. The child with Adrian's stormy gray eyes, but Elena's warm smile. a piece of the man she had lost, and yet, the reason she found the strength to move forward. Alina had built a quiet life away from the glittering chaos of the city that once bound her to Adrian. She worked at a modest bookstore cafe, balancing shifts with motherhood, her world small but filled with love. Sophia's laughter echoed through their tiny apartment, a melody that healed wounds no medicine could touch. But fate has a cruel way of circling back. Adrian King, now wealthier, colder, and more feared than ever, had never once looked for her. At least, that's what Alina believed. In truth, he had drowned himself in business, convincing himself he had made the right choice. Yet every now and then, in the quiet of night, when the walls of his penthouse echoed with silence, her voice would haunt him. "Don't leave me like this." And then, he saw her again. It was supposed to be an ordinary afternoon. Adrian had been attending a charity event at a hospital, his company's PR move. Cameras flashed, reporters swarmed, and yet, through the chaos, his gaze caught on a figure down the corridor. She was standing there. Alina. Her hair was longer, tied back in a loose braid. She wore no jewels, no designer dress, just simple clothes that did nothing to hide the quiet strength she now carried. But it wasn't her that stole his breath, it was the little girl clinging to her hand. The child couldn't have been more than 2. She had Adrian's eyes, those storm gray orbs he saw in the mirror every morning, but filled with innocence, not ice. The child tilted her head curiously, looking up at him, and for the first time in years, Adrian King felt his heart stutter. Sophia's tiny lips parted, her voice soft but clear. "Mommy, who's that man?" Alina froze. She hadn't seen him yet, but the second she heard her daughter's question, she turned and their eyes met. The world seemed to stop. "Alina," Adrian breathed, his voice breaking, the name tasting both foreign and familiar on his tongue. Her face paled. For a heartbeat, pain, anger, and disbelief flickered across her features. Then she gathered Sophia into her arms, holding her close, protective. "What are you doing here?" Her voice was sharp, laced with steel. No trace of the woman who once begged him to stay remained. She wasn't weak anymore. Adrian took a hesitant step forward, but his confidence faltered under the weight of her glare. "Alina, is she?" He couldn't finish the question. The words lodged in his throat, heavy with the truth he was already beginning to see. Sophia peeked at him from her mother's shoulder, her curious eyes locking on his. And then, as if fate had been waiting for this very moment, she whispered one word: "Daddy." The sound shattered Adrian's composure. His world, carefully built on power and denial, came crashing down in an instant. Elena's lips trembled, but her voice came out steady. "She doesn't know who you are. Don't flatter yourself. She calls every man in her storybooks Daddy. Don't think you've earned that word." The bitterness cut him deeper than any boardroom betrayal ever could. He stepped closer, desperate, his voice raw. "Alina, tell me, is she mine?" Her eyes glistened, but she refused to look away. "You don't get to ask that. You made your choice 2 years ago. You said it was over. Remember?" The memory of his own words slammed into him like a blade. It's over. He had said it. He had left her, left them. "Alina, his voice cracked. Something rare for a man like Adrian King. "I didn't know. If you had," she snapped, her voice rising. "If you had known, would it have mattered? You wanted power, Adrian. You wanted freedom from me, from responsibility. Don't you dare stand here and pretend that suddenly you care." Sophia stirred at her mother's raised voice, her little arms tightening around Elena's neck. Alina immediately softened, whispering comfort into her daughter's hair. Adrian watched, the sight piercing him like nothing else ever had. In that single moment, he realized what he had thrown away. The family he could have had. The nights he could have spent hearing his daughter's laughter. The mornings he could have seen Elena's smile beside him. He had chosen empire over love. And now, staring into Sophia's innocent eyes, he wasn't sure it had been worth it. "Alina," he said quietly, almost brokenly, "please, just give me a chance to make this right." Her gaze hardened, though her hands trembled where they held Sophia. "You don't get chances, Adrian. Not after what you did. Not after what you left us with. We survived without you." And with that, she turned away, walking down the corridor with Sophia in her arms, leaving him standing there, powerless for the first time in his life. But deep inside, Adrian King knew one thing. He wasn't going to let them slip away again. The image of Elena's retreating figure haunted Adrian long after that day. For the first time in his life, he couldn't focus on his empire, his business, or his power. Board meetings blurred, deals slipped, and every night, when the city lights glittered beneath his penthouse windows, he saw only the face of a little girl with his eyes calling him daddy. It was unbearable. And for the first time, Adrian King, the ruthless millionaire CEO, felt powerless. He tried to bury it under logic. He told himself Alina was exaggerating, that maybe Sophia wasn't his. But every time he remembered her eyes, the denial collapsed. That child was his, and he had abandoned her before she ever took her first breath. Adrian made a choice. For once, it wouldn't be about power or image. It would be about family. The bookstore cafe was quiet that evening, the warm scent of coffee beans mixing with the faint melody of a radio. Alina stood behind the counter, wiping down mugs while Sophia colored in her notebook, her little legs swinging from the chair. The doorbell chimed. Elena's shoulders stiffened before she even looked up. She knew that presence, that aura, confident, commanding. Adrian King walked in, but this time there was no tailored arrogance in his step. No bodyguards, no entourage, just him. "Get out," Alina said instantly, her voice sharp as glass. Adrian froze, his hands lifting slightly as though surrendering. "Please, just hear me out." Sophia looked up, curiosity sparkling in her eyes. "Mommy, it's that man again." Her innocent words cut the tension like a knife. Adrian's gaze softened as he crouched slightly, lowering himself to Sophia's level. "Hi," he said gently, his voice unlike anything Alina remembered. "What are you drawing?" Sophia blinked, tilting her head before shyly turning the paper toward him. A stick figure family, mom, a little girl, and a faceless man. Adrian's throat tightened. He wanted to ask if that man was supposed to be him, but he didn't dare. Instead, he smiled faintly. "That's beautiful." Alina quickly moved between them, her body a shield. "Don't you dare. Don't come here and play father after 2 years of silence." "I deserve that," Adrian admitted quietly. "But Alina, please. I want to be part of her life. I made the worst mistake of my life when I left you. I thought I was protecting myself, but I was just running from love. I see that now." Her eyes flashed with fury, though her voice wavered. "Do you think you can walk back in here with your money and your apologies and fix everything? You missed her first steps, Adrian, her first word. You weren't there for the nights I held her through fevers, or the mornings she called for a father she never knew." Each word struck him like a blow, but he didn't move away. Instead, his gaze fell to Sophia again. She was watching them both, her small brow furrowed, sensing more than she understood. "I can't change the past," Adrian said finally, his voice breaking. "But please give me a chance to change the future. For her, for both of you." Elena's hands trembled, torn between anger and the part of her heart that still remembered the man she once loved. She wanted to hate him. She wanted to shut the door forever. And yet, watching him kneel before Sophia, vulnerable in a way she had never seen, something inside her wavered. Sophia's small hand tugged at her sleeve. "Mommy," she whispered softly, "can I talk to him?" Alina froze. Slowly, she nodded. Sophia slipped from the chair, her tiny feet pattering against the floor as she approached Adrian. She studied him carefully, then asked the one question he wasn't prepared for. "Why didn't you want me?" The room went silent. Adrian's chest ached, his breath catching. He swallowed hard, blinking back the sting in his eyes. "Sweetheart, I didn't know what I was giving up. I thought I was making the right choice, but I was wrong. I was so wrong. And I'm sorry. I never stopped thinking about your mom. And now that I see you, I know I'll never forgive myself if I lose you too." Sophia's little face softened, though confusion lingered. She didn't understand all of it, but she heard the sincerity in his voice. Slowly, hesitantly, she placed her hand against his cheek. "Don't go away again," she whispered. Adrian's heart broke and healed in that single moment. He covered her tiny hand with his own, his voice trembling. "Never, I promise you. I'll never leave again." Alina turned away, tears streaming silently down her cheeks. She had built her life without him, and she could continue to if she had to. But as she watched Sophia's innocent smile, as she saw the cracks in Adrian's armor finally break, she wondered if maybe, just maybe, there was still a chance. Maybe not for the love they once had, but for Sophia, for their daughter. That night, as Adrian walked them home for the first time, Sophia held his hand tightly, her laughter echoing through the quiet streets. Alina watched them from the corner of her eye, her heart torn between the past and the fragile possibility of a new future. One thing was certain. Adrian King's empire no longer mattered. For the first time, the only crown he wanted was the title whispered by a little girl with his eyes. "Daddy, what do you think?" Dear viewers, should Alina give Adrian another chance after everything he put her through, or should she protect her heart and raise Sophia on her own? Stories like these remind us that money and power can never replace the love of a family. Adrian walked away once, but fate brought him face to face with the daughter he never knew. Do you believe people can truly change, or are some mistakes too big to fix? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your opinions. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another heart-touching millionaire CEO story, filled with love, pain, and second chances. Because sometimes, the most powerful empire isn't built in boardrooms. It's found in the arms of family.